Hey guys, what's up? JK with Porn Reboot here. On the way to the gym. Good morning. I'm gonna kill it. I hope you are ready to crush your day. I want to talk about a topic real quick, as usual, that I think is very important for men who are struggling with an out-of-control behavior with porn and masturbation to develop. That quality is what I call immunity to criticism. And I'm bringing it up because I was having a conversation with one of my one-on-one clients yesterday when this came up. And I was a little bit surprised because this is a very successful man in the medical profession. I don't know how much he makes, but he makes enough to work with me one-on-one. So he must be doing quite well. But he's very successful. He's well known in his community. But he still has this deep feeling of inadequacy, and he is still deeply impacted by the criticisms of people, not people from his past, but people who are currently in his life right now. You know, it affects him deeply, and he has succeeded in spite of that. And whenever I meet men who succeed in spite of not being immune to criticism, they've always taken some sort of damage. And what that means is that there's always something that's wrong somewhere. In his case, it is low self-esteem, and obviously he's got a problem with pornography and masturbation. But many of us, when we were growing up, for many of us, pornography was our first friend. It was our first relationship. It was the only thing that we could run to when we were upset, or when we were hurt, or when we were rejected, when we were criticized, or when we felt inadequate. We would just go to this world where, you know, nobody judged you. The women didn't judge you. You know, you could just watch people doing what they were doing. You could live in your imagination, and you could be anybody that you wanted to be. And it felt good. But in the process, myself included, we ran away from dealing with the criticism that we were receiving. We ran away from dealing with rejection. We ran away from feeling inadequate in any area of our life. And it is so important as you go through the recovery process to identify the part of you that is still like glass, you know, like you get criticized once and it just shatters. I get a lot of guys, if you're on my email list, I get guys who email me, and because my style is very direct, for those of you who don't know, just showing up on my channel, I started Porn Reboots on my own terms, which means that I started it at a time when I had already experienced success at another career for over a decade. And when I started Porn Reboot, I wanted to do it in a way that I only wanted to say and speak the truth. I only wanted to do it in a way that I felt would get my message across, which is why I have a very no BS style. I'm not worried about losing subscribers. I'm not worried about any of those things because I don't need it. It's something that I do because I love doing this, and I speak plainly, you know, because I have nothing to lose. So I speak plainly in my emails as well, and there are a lot of guys who, not a lot of guys, I know they're out there, it's just once in a while they'll send an email and they say, JK, you should understand that porn addicts are very fragile by the nature of our addiction. We're fragile. You know, you can't talk to us like that. The reason that you signed up for my email list, the reason that you follow me in the first place is because you know that I'm very direct, and you know that I do it out of love. But you keep going back to that part of you that's hurt. You always feel criticized. Always. Just for little things. And a typical email could be an email where I mention something like, if you engage in this sort of behavior and you keep engaging in a victim behavior, then you're a little bitch. You're being a little victim. That's how I talk. And oh my God, they come out there like super upset. I'm like, okay, go ahead and unsubscribe, because that is how I speak. I'm going to call you out on those things. I do it out of love. But my point is, a lot of that pain that men experience when they hear certain things is because they haven't built up what I call an immunity to criticism. And if you want to go your own way in life, and sometimes going your own way for many men begins with the decision to end their behavior with pornography. And when I say go your own way, I don't mean MGTOW, okay? I simply mean deciding what you're going to do in life and taking control of your life in order to get there. Get the things that you want for your happiness. You can't care what other people say about you. Other people's opinions, other people's thoughts, even from the past. You really have to stop caring. I'll share a quick story with you. When I was 17 years old, I was very skinny. I couldn't put on weight. I couldn't put on muscle. My nickname was Skelly. Skelly for skeleton. Okay? I had a lot of acne on my face. My head, got a big ass head. My head was the same size that it is now, that I am, 207 pounds. It's the same size as it was when I was like 120 something pounds. So I look like a really funny, I was a funny looking dude, you know? And I wasn't attractive. I tried to think I was attractive or whatever, but I wasn't. And I remember one time one of my aunts told me, she was like, JK, you need to just stop going to the gym because you're never going to put on muscle. And I had another aunt who told me that you're never going to date like a highly attractive woman because of your face, because I had acne. I still have the scars. She's like, you're not going to date an attractive woman because, she's like, because of this. She just did the hand gesture. And oh my God, guys, that absolutely killed me. It destroyed me. I carried this pain with me for a long time. It was my mentors who slowly began to give me confidence that I could improve. The first guy was a guy at the gym who looked at me and he said, man, this is just me reacting to criticism to my physical appearance. And he told me, JK, you've got really broad shoulders. And I was like, yeah, they used to make fun of me because I had just straight shoulders and skinny legs. And he was like, no, he's like, you've got a great frame to build like a nice V taper for those of you who work out. And he's like, you should start doing like a lot more pull-ups. He's like, man, you could, because you're a skinny guy, when you start putting on muscle, it's going to look more attractive on your body because you're not going to put on a lot of fat. You have a very fast metabolism. I was like, really? He was like, yeah. And that was the first time anybody had told me anything positive about my body. I had a lot of friends that I was hanging out with who just didn't work out, and when I did, they would criticize me because they just felt I was wasting my time. But, you know, they were great friends in other things, but holding me back in other areas. That was one example. And I started working out, and I started getting proof for myself that what this guy said was true. And after that, I just stopped caring what anybody else thought about me, because now I had the proof, and now I had put in the work. And I'd done it over and over and over again till it was right there. I had the physical belief. And I started surrounding myself with people who believe the same thing. So that is the first step in developing immunity to criticism. It is to find the thing that you're being criticized about and prove others wrong. You know, go out there and put in the efforts so that you have the belief, you have the experience in your head that shows you that there's nothing to be criticized about. The second story I want to tell you has to do with my looks. I don't think I'm a good looking guy, okay? I don't look at myself in the mirror and then tell myself, ooh, you're a stud. I don't. I literally think that I am on a scale of 1 to 10, that I'm a 5, okay? And I think I've got a few good things going on for me. Just, I'm confident, I'm built a certain way, I have a decent smile. I'm just being realistic here. But I don't see myself as a classically good looking person. And I've never used that as a point of me attracting a woman, so I don't delude myself. However, I didn't even think that about myself in the past. I would go out there and I literally thought that I was a very ugly individual to the point of being repulsive. I really believed that about myself. For many years, into my 20s, the only way I could stop thinking this recurring thought that I was very unattractive was to basically get drunk, unfortunately. And then I could go out to clubs and I could delude myself into thinking that I was someone else, you know? So it wasn't until I met one of my mentors, Mark Manson. For those of you who read the book, Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And I was out with him. We were on one of his one-on-one coaching, and I was out in Austin visiting him. And he just told me when he met me, he seemed shocked. And I don't know if that was part of his coaching, but he was like, dude, you're jacked. He's like, I've seen you on Skype. You look different on video, which I actually do. He's like, when people see you in person, dude, you're like 6 foot, you're like over 200 pounds. He's like, you look different. He's like, I don't even know why you're working with me. He's like, because all you need to do is just talk to more girls. And I was like, nah, dude, I got a lot of issues, blah, 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 blah. So we worked through all those things. But here's the crazy thing. I had never had, and this may sound weird, but I had never had another man tell me that, hey, dude, you know what? You're an attractive dude. And he told me at the end of the weekend that we worked together, he was like, listen, man, I've hung out with you for 2 days, and we've gone out, we've talked to a bunch of women. They go maybe close to over 100 women. He's like, there's nothing wrong with you. He's like, you can have a perfectly good conversation with me. You're a funny guy when you want to be. He was like, everything you say is engaging. The way you speak is engaging. When you speak to women, women listen to you. And you're actually good at listening as well. He's like, you just need to, move out of your shitty town and meet more attractive women. And he's like, you need to talk to more and more and more women and get used to the reality of women, that some women are going to reject you, and a lot of women are not going to reject you based on looks. They're not even, you pass their looks threshold, which means they're not looking for a stud. They don't want a stud. Well, most women do, but you are at the threshold that is acceptable for many women. And that's why you'll sometimes see women with some guy that you don't think is attractive, but what you don't understand is that for her, he is good looking enough for a relationship. So there's a lot of stuff there. Maybe I'll shoot a video on it one day. But I stopped criticizing myself when, of course, number one, I went out there and I took action in that area. And I put aside that, what the heck is this? And I put aside that fear I had of rejection by putting myself out there and finally starting to have sex with women who found me attractive. And they weren't just paying me lip service. They found me attractive. And I don't know how their mind works. I'm not going to claim to be an expert in that area. But by the time you have a couple of dozen experiences like that with women, you're good to go. Like, there's nothing else to prove. Every man just gets to a certain level in their sexual experiences. For some men, they need to be with 3 women. For some, it's 6. For some, it's 40. And I've met some men who've been with over 300 women. And they're not sex addicts, okay? That's just their lifestyle. That's what they do. It doesn't interrupt their life. And they're fine. They don't have that issue anymore. So bottom line, brothers, whether it is a matter of how you look, whether it is your ability, your dating ability, whether it is your professional ability. Now back to this client that I talked about. This guy was successful. He succeeded in spite of his lack of an immunity to criticism. And maybe that could be attributed to the fact that he was the only person in that medical field in his town for like 30 years. So he has no competition. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. It might be. But one of the things that was causing him to have this feelings of inadequacy was his social life. He did not have a social life. His social life revolved around his wife. And so what was happening was that, and some of you guys out there who are married and in relationships, you all need to be careful of this. You get married, you get into a relationship, and you're a guy who found it very difficult to make friends, and then you lose all your friends. And then you become dependent on your wife's social circle. You start hanging out with your wife's family, you start hanging out with your wife's friends. Do not do that stuff. You must, it's okay to hang out with them, not don't do it, but have your own friends, have your own interests independent of your wife, okay? So he didn't have any of these things, and it took him a long time when he was younger to build that up. Now he kind of gave that up, and for all these years, his social circle is made up of people that he's not very close to. And of course, they talk to his wife about things, or he feels they say certain things about him because he does not connect with them. He doesn't go out and hang out with his wife with them all the time. He's usually on his own. And if he's not on his own, he's going to go out with his wife to hang out with these people. But they don't know him that well. They're his wife's social circle. So he did have a lot of insecurity around that. And because he's isolated, a lot of guys who are isolated just back off and become very defensive, especially if they're successful. They back off and they do their work, but they keep pushing themselves in work because that's the only thing that they have. And very reactive to any sort of criticism. It hurts them, they carry it with them. Now he has a few other issues, but I'm talking about his immunity to criticism. So again, in his case, the way that we started dealing with it was to start building his social circle, was to start putting him out there and having him start hanging out with guys who weren't going to criticize him. And this was very challenging, just so you guys know, because this is a person who had spent over 30 years like this. But within 90 days, he was able to get to a point where he was actually making his own friends, even traveling out of town to meet up with his new friends. Once he realized that they supported him, they were his caliber of men, that issue was gone. And his recovery became so much easier because one of the main sources of pain that he was medicating with pornography was being addressed. So the point to get out of this is that immunity to criticism is one of the most important traits that you can develop in your recovery. All right? Always be mindful of when you are reactive to people criticizing you. All right? And if there's an area in your life that you feel that you are inadequate in, that you always feel criticized in, then work on that area. Work on that area and develop the confidence and the experience in your life that shows that this isn't a big deal. I can do it. There's nothing for me to be criticized about. And I also want to tell you that you're not going to be perfect. You're not. And not everybody's going to like you either. That's another thing to realize. Some people are going to talk shit about you, whether you like it or not. This porn reboot, what I do, apparently there are a lot of people who talk shit. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that stuff. And even if they came up to me and told me in my face, which 99% of them don't have the balls to do, because I've had people see me around, I don't care. I just literally do not care what anybody thinks of me. I care what people think, especially my clients, those of you guys who are serious about ending your behavior. I'm very mindful of what you think. But what you think of me or the criticisms of me, I don't care, because I know what I've overcome. And I look at the men that I've helped over the past 7 years, and their results are so clear to see. They have families, some of them have kids now, some of them have these amazing relationships. So many things have happened. It's impossible for me to, why would I accept criticism? For what? For a job pretty damn well done, right? So again, I'm not perfect. I choose to focus on the things that are working. I choose to focus on my strengths. And for you guys, I suggest you do the same, okay? And catch yourself with that little reaction to criticism. So that's my message for you guys this morning. I gotta go to the gym, man. My pre-workout is kicking in. I appreciate you guys. I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for watching the video. And guys, if you're not in our Facebook group, there's a link to it in the description below. Hop in there. I shoot videos like all the time. I respond to questions via video. I don't need Patreon to respond to a video or shoot you a video. I'll just shoot the damn video for you, okay? Also, if you're just like, JK, what the hell is your system? Can I digest your system in like 20 minutes? Yes, you can. All you need to do is pick up a copy of my book, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men. There's a link to it in the description below. And you can learn about my system in less than 20 minutes. Pretty small ebook, all right? All right, guys, have an awesome day. I'm out. I'll talk to you later in the week.